Hey guys, what's up? It is the one and only RJ21 here, and today I'm going to be recapping the events of week 4 of Big Brother 25 and giving my updated power rankings. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the recap. Week 4 started off with the pressure cooker competition, which Cameron won, lasting in the pressure cooker for nearly 14 hours. Cameron had the opportunity to make a big move and actually had the intentions of backdooring Izzy if he was given the opportunity, but instead he chooses to play it safe and nominates Blue and Jag. Cameron, along with Blue, Jag, and chosen to compete were Nicole, Red, and Jared, in which Red won the power veto. They considered using it to backdoor Izzy, but ultimately they stayed the course and kept nominations the same. Before the live eviction, a new twist was introduced called the BB Power of Invincibility, which gave the winner the ability to save one of the next 2 evicted house guests. The way the competitors were determined was America, not the player, the nation, would vote for 4 of their favorite house guests to compete. The 4 players that were chosen were Suri, Corey, Matt, and Jag, in which Matt won the power of invincibility. Come eviction night, Jag was unanimously voted out by a vote of 10-0. But Matt played his power of invincibility to save Jag, canceling the eviction and nullifying Jag's eviction, keeping him in the game and giving him a second chance to win the $750,000. Because the week was reset and nobody went home, everybody was eligible to compete for HOH in the next coming week, including Cameron, the outgoing HOH. Overall, this week was pretty standard, pretty tame in terms of strategy, but the house dynamics have changed just a little bit. The house dynamics are relatively the same. The house is still very Cerise-centric. The only thing that has changed is people's level of importance within Cerise power structure. I'll get more into that once we get into the power rankings, but as it stands right now, everybody loves Suri, everybody trusts Suri, and now it's just a matter of who is the biggest threat to Suri's game and who will win the competitions to take that person out. As it stands, nobody really has the power to take a shot at Suri to take her out of the game, and it's honestly props to Suri for creating such a powerful power structure. But as it stands right now, Suri is absolutely steamrolling the social dynamics of the house, and it's probably going to show once we do the power ranking. So let's get into the power ranking. Just a quick disclaimer, just like all of my previous power ranking videos, this video is being filmed after the HOH and nomination ceremony. So I know who the week 5 HOH is and who they nominated, and so that will be impacting my power rankings. But with all that out of the way, let's actually get into the power rankings. I'll quickly recap the house guests that are no longer in the house. So at 17, we have Luke. At 16, we have Kirsten. At 15, we have Riley. And at 14, we have Heisem. Now, with them out of the way, let's go into the actual people still in the house. At number 13, the person who I believe is in the worst position in the house is Cameron. And it's still Cameron. I'm not going to lie, Cameron got screwed over. The fact that he lasted 14 hours in the pressure cooker just for his entire HOH reign to get dethroned by a 40-second competition is honestly disheartening as like a fan. If I was in that position and like I just wasted 14 hours of my life for nothing to go my way, I would be pretty upset too. But he honestly brought it upon himself in that like he could have made a huge move. He had all of the power in the world to take a shot at Cerise Alliance. I was convinced going into the week that one of either Suri, Felicia, Jared, or Izzy, most likely Izzy, was going to be evicted. But instead, he decided to play it safe and nominate Blue and Jag, 2 people who, while they are on the other side of the house from him, weren't actually like actively targeting him. Well, okay, maybe he was the house target, but still, he had the opportunity to shake up the entire house by taking a shot at that power structure, but instead chose to play it safe. He tried setting up future ground for himself in the future, but because of how poor his gameplay was in the previous weeks and his lack of, I guess, aggressive gameplay this week, it shows that he's not that good of an alliance member, which is why nobody trusts him and nobody wants to move forward with him. Overall, Cameron had a huge opportunity to improve his position in the game, but he just blew it. He squandered it, and now he is nominated and he is the primary target. So there's a very high likelihood that unless Cameron wins the veto, Cameron is probably going to go home. And that's obviously horrible for his game. So overall, his lack of a successful HOH and the fact that he's still the house target despite being the previous HOH is just signs of how bad his gameplay is and how bad his positioning is, which is why he is here at number 13. At number 12, I have Cameron's closest ally, Red. And Red is actually, I think, in a very similar position to Cameron in the sense that they're on the bottom of the house and they're the house targets. If Cameron wins the veto, Red goes home because Red is on the block next to Cameron. And honestly, Red kind of did it to himself. He had a really solid alliance with the professors, but instead of wanting to stay loyal to them, he wanted to stay loyal to Cameron. That actively ruined his gameplay. Once it was public knowledge that if Red were to win a veto, he would use it to save Cameron. Cameron is an easy pawn, he's an easy house target, and he's somebody who's easy to put up on the block every single week. So the fact that Red willingly sacrifices his game to save the house target just puts him in an even worse position. Now coming into this week, he isn't the primary target, but it's still not very good for his game. The fact that he is so closely aligned with Cameron. Because he's so closely aligned with Cameron, he has no runway. He has nowhere to go. He has no real mobility in terms of the social dynamics. So he's overall in a very bad position. I think in the future weeks, if Cameron does go home, Red does have a much better opportunity to re-ingratiate himself with the bigger power players like Suri and like Felicia, because he does have really solid relationships with them. It's just the fact that he's so closely linked with Cameron that's ruining his position. I think once Cameron's gone, once he re-ingratiates himself within like that majority alliance, he'll be in a much better position. But as it stands right now, he's not in a very good position, which is why I have him here at number 12. Now at number 11, somebody who's not even necessarily closely aligned with Cameron and Red, but is always lumped in with their group. So at number 11, we have Bowie Jane. And Bowie Jane's an interesting case where she is a replacement nominee option. If Cameron or Red win the veto, Bowie Jane is probably going to go up as a pawn to ensure that the remaining person on the block goes home, which obviously is absolutely horrible for a game because you never want to be on the block most of the time. But Bowie Jane is very passive in her gameplay. She tries talking game with people, but it honestly just worsens her position. She talks so little game with people that people are assuming she's talking game with other people, and that's just not good. Her passivity is being turned into activity for other players, and she's just letting the game fly right past her. She is such a non-entity in the house that people are actually threatened by how much of a non-entity she is. They're saying that they don't want a player like Bowie Jane to slip through the cracks and they want to take her out sooner rather than later. And that shouldn't be the case. If Bowie Jane is such a non-entity and a non-factor in the game, you would want to keep somebody like that around because they're not going to do anything of major substance to impact the game. But because of how passive she is, they're seeing that as a threat and they want to take her out sooner rather than later, which is honestly a testament to how poor of a social game Bowie Jane is playing right now. It's honestly kind of insane how bad of a position Bowie Jane is in by doing nothing. It's laughable, honestly. It's like, how in the world do you not play the game and you still get targeted? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. There are much bigger threats in this house to take out, but people are targeting you? Like, it's crazy. Her position is so bad through mostly her own wrongdoing. Not even through her own wrongdoing. It's just she's just in a bad position, and I don't know if she has the game ability to remove herself from this bad position, but it's not looking too good for her, which is why I have her here at number 11. At number 10, I have the person who was supposed to be evicted this week. I have Jag, and he's this low because he got voted out. Like, everyone in the house was unanimous in deciding we want Jag to go. Obviously, Matt and probably Suri knew that Jag wasn't going to go home, which is why they voted with the house. But still, the majority of the house was willing to let Jag go over Blue, showing to Jag how expendable of a number and as a player he is. And that's horrible for his game. This should be a wake-up call to him that he needs to start playing this game more actively and be better in positioning himself with more of the power players. However, he's just choosing not to do so. I will give him some credit. Apparently, both him and Blue are checking Ceri's power structure, and they're saying that Ceri is so well insulated with the house that she structured it so she's not going to get targeted, or if she's on the block, she's never going to go home. And while they do recognize that, they don't have the influence or the power to take that shot. They can try working with an America and a Corey, two people who do also want to take the shot, but they just haven't built that strong of a bond with them, and they haven't built that much trust. So Jag has very little runway, very little leverage in this game to progress himself forward, but I will say though that he is being seen as a competition asset, somebody who is willing to win these comps to take out the likes of a Cameron or a Red, which is positive for his game, but that probably just means he's going to be taken out sooner rather than later. Maybe not as soon as like a Bowie Jane or a Red or a Cameron, but still, he's probably going to get taken out soon, and that honestly isn't very good for his game. Because of all of those things, I have to have Jag here at number 10. At number 9, I have Blue, Jag's closest ally. And Blue is essentially in the same position as Jag. The only reason she's higher was that she wasn't voted out. I think that's the only merit to Blue's game. Blue is playing a floater game. She's not really being active in a lot of strategy, or at least being effective in a lot of strategy. Maybe she's not a floater. Maybe she's more of a coaster. No, a coaster is Bowie Jane. Blue's just being very ineffective in her gameplay. She's not making any real impact. She is somewhat clocking Ceri's power structure, and she did correctly assess that Ceri is Jared's mother. The only issue is that she's not doing anything with this information. She said she's loyal to the people she's loyal to, and she doesn't want to screw them over, so she's actively not making the correct moves for her game. She's being passive in that she's letting Ceri and these people in Ceri's power structure just accumulate more and more power over the weeks. They're saying that they need to wait to take the perfect shot, but instead of waiting and like building bonds to hopefully build an army to take the shot, she's just like sitting around and talking with Jag and Jared and just doing all of that stuff, and she's not actively making her position in the game any better, which is honestly really disappointing because she has so much good ammunition to make a huge move, but she's just choosing not to do it because it's not the right time. I mean, it's sad. Like, she could absolutely blow up the entire house by saying Jared is related to somebody, but she's so blindly loyal to Jared that it's concerning and it's disappointing, and I'm honestly overall very saddened by her gameplay, which is that, along with her very poor gameplay as a whole right now and her somewhat middling but mostly poor social positioning. I have to have Blue here at number 9. Now at number 8, this person is constantly wavering in the house. At one point, they're in a really good position working with the power players, and the next, they're the house target. She's very all over the place, and people are more and more not beginning to trust her, and that's honestly very bad for her game. So here at number 8, I have America. And America's an interesting case where she is a fan of the game. She knows the game. She knows what to do. Her only problem is that she's not very good at playing the game. She's made her showmance with Corey very obvious, and now they're being perceived as a very a very solid duo. And if America is ever sitting on the block next to Corey, America goes home, I think, unanimously. Because while Corey is probably the bigger threat in comparison to America, at least Corey has the better social bonds to keep him safe. He has an alliance with like Jared and Ceri and Izzy, but America doesn't have that positioning. She isn't actively going out of her way to really bond with those people. She's just more or less saying, yeah, I'm in your alliance. That's cool. She does recognize that she does need to take a shot at Ceri's alliance, but her approach to taking that shot is what is rubbing people the wrong way, and is what is making her a bigger and bigger target. And she's probably going to get targeted jury. Like, once the jury starts, she's probably going to be the number one target. And there's also the scenario that if Bowie Jane wins the veto and takes either Cameron or Red off the block, or takes Cameron off the block, America is going to go up, and America probably goes home. Against Red is somebody who at least has connections with Cirie and would probably keep him in the game, whereas America is a direct threat to her game, and America would be taken out. So that's honestly really bad on her end. And I have hope that she can improve her position, but I honestly don't see it happening anytime soon, which is why I have America here at number 8. At number 7, I have America's closest ally, Corey. And Corey is in a very fragile and precarious position. He has really solid ties with the power players in Cirie and Jared, but the only issue with his game is that he is so closely tied with America that they're seen as this power duo. And that, in tie with people like Cirie and Felicia clocking how good of a game player Corey is ultimately ruining his position. He has the potential to go very, very far in this game. The only issue is that he's being held down by other people's poor gameplay. Like, I don't know. His two closest allies in America and Jared are not the best at Big Brother. They may be fans, but neither of them are playing very well to keep themselves in the game. It's weird. Corey is just aligned with such bad players. America is being very rash, or not very rash, but she's being very openly direct about wanting to take a shot at Cirie and Izzy and that whole power core. And that's obviously making her a target. And because Corey is so closely tied with America, he is now becoming a target. I think in the coming weeks, if America either eases up on how directly she is targeting that group, or if Corey just goes into overtime and how hard he's going to work to better his positions with Cirie and Jared, I think Corey's position is going to be able to recover because he has the potential to be a great game player. He has such good social awareness about his position and what he needs to do. The only issue he has is that his allies are actively ruining his game plans. And I think if he can maybe distance himself from those allies, or just I don't know, win an HOH or something to set himself up for a better future, that would be best for his game. But as it stands right now, Corey is not a house target, but is definitely a target in the coming weeks. And if Corey doesn't clean up his act or clean up his position anytime soon, he's probably going to be taken out sooner than the fan base would like. Sooner, definitely, than I would like. But I think Corey has the potential to make it further, but as it stands right now, he's not in a very good position, which is why I have him here at number 7. At number 6, I have Nicole. And Nicole's interesting. She's definitely not the most active player. She's definitely not the most involved player in strategy, but she is very well positioned with the power players in Cirie's core group. I think Nicole's best asset is how active she's being involved in the gameplay without making herself a target. She's playing a very strong under-the-radar game, and that could pay dividends for her in the future. I think her only issue is that she's not building strong enough bonds with Cirie's core. I don't think Nicole is being included in anybody's endgame plans except for her own. I don't know if Nicole has any solid final two that is willing to ride or die for her. At least the players on the bottom of this list have a person. Cameron has Red, Jag has Blue, America has Corey. They at least have a ride or die that is willing to go far for them and willing to die on their sword for them. But Nicole doesn't have that. I think she needs to find that somebody, because if she doesn't, she's probably gonna get taken out I would say around mid-jury, and that's just all overall not very good for her longevity in this game. I think she definitely does have the potential to make it far. I think it's just a matter of building much better bonds with people and solidifying much more solid relationships that would eventually evolve into alliances. I think she's solid. I think she's in a good position, but I think it just needs a little bit more fine-tuning and a little better work for the future weeks if she wants to progress to the end of this game. And I'm honestly hoping she does, because she was my preseason winner pick, and I would love to be right, So I hope I'm right. But as it stands right now, I don't know if Nicole has the longevity to win this game, but she is in a solid position to make it far, which is why I have her here at number 6. At number 5, I have Jared. And in any other season of Big Brother, Jared would not be this high. He is playing this game so actively bad, it's astonishing. I think if it was any other season of Big Brother, he would probably be like, I don't know, maybe he'd probably be like maybe below America, maybe not. I think he's playing this game so badly. And I think that just comes from who he is as a person. I'm not going to try and like bash his name or anything like that, because I don't know him personally. So I'm not going to try and like defame his character or anything like that. But from what we can tell, it seems like Jared is a very prideful person. He's somebody who takes a lot of pride in what he does as an individual and how he makes his own path. And the fact that he's in this house with Cirie, his mother, somebody who is cemented as this reality TV legend, and he is kind of being overshadowed by her. And I feel like that might possibly making him more insecure about him as a game player, which is ultimately making him play a lot more like brash and a lot more aggressively. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's playing actively good. It just means he's playing more, and he's playing very sloppily. He's now started distancing himself from Cirie's power core and going to players on the lower ends of the totem pole in blue, in Jag, maybe not even Jag, but just blue. Like it would be good for him to branch out to these players, but the intention he has for branching out to these players is not game related. He's in a showmance with blue, and that isn't necessarily even translating well to game relationships. Sure, he was like the defining reason why blue didn't go home, but that created a lot of unnecessary tension with the likes of an Izzy and a Cirie. Like the fact that Cirie is questioning her own son's loyalty and integrity in this game shows how bad Jared is playing. He's not very good. And I honestly think on any other season of Big Brother, he would be a primary target for the future weeks. But he's simply not. It's simply just not that. Because he is Cirie's son, and because Cirie wants to protect Jared at all costs, Jared is getting benefited by other people's gameplay. That's why he constantly keeps getting included in all of these alliances. That's why he's constantly being included in all of these blindsides and all these flips and all these plans, is because he is Cirie's son. I think Jared is just playing horribly. I just don't see him doing well. He is HOH this week, though, so that is definitely a positive thing for his game. He definitely does have the runway and can possibly make a big move this week if things go wrong. He can take out a big threat in America, which could better his game position, but the way he's just approaching this game is all wrong, and it's all bad, and I don't have the highest hopes for him moving forward in this game. I think he's going to make it far, but I just honestly don't see him winning, at least at this point in the game, which is why I have him here at number 5. Now at number 4, I have Felicia. And at this point, I probably should have said it with Jared, but at this point, this is all like Cirie's daycare. Not even daycare. This is just all Cirie's family tree. Like, Cirie just has all of these people so closely in her pocket that these are the power players of the house. Felicia is here at number 4 because she is in a very good position socially. Everybody likes her. Everybody wants to be aligned with her. Everybody trusts her. But she isn't in Cirie's endgame plans, because Felicia has openly expressed that she somewhat regrets making a final 2 with Cirie. How true is that now? Probably not as true as when she said it, but that has had ramifications on her position in the game, where Cirie doesn't even necessarily want to take her to final 4, final 3, even final 2. I mean, Cirie was never going to take her to final 2 over Jared, but still, Cirie was Suri wanted to take Felicia far in this game, but now it seems like Felicia might not even be in those end game plans anymore, where Felicia might get sniped out at like Final 5 or Final 6, whereas she was almost guaranteed Final 4 or possibly even Final 3 if things went the right way for her. It's honestly a little, not concerning, but it's a little disappointing that one small comment probably blew up her entire position within that core alliance. She's still in a great position, but she's just got excluded out of endgame plans, and at least for Felicia, for her longevity in this game, that's going to be an issue. Do I think she can repair that bond in the future? Absolutely. Felicia is an amazing social player just because how good of a person she is. And I think that Felicia definitely has what it takes to make it far. She's a power player for a reason. That's why she's in this top 4. And that's why I think she's going to make it far. I think it's just a matter of re-strengthening those bonds she's somewhat lost, and maybe more actively talking strategy, maybe just a tad bit more. But other than that, I think Felicia's in a great position to go far in this game, which is why I have her here at number 4. At number 3, I have somebody who I'm really surprised to have this high, but just because of the layout of the house, she ends up being this high. At number 3, I have Izzy. And Izzy's in a very interesting spot where she was the backdoor candidate. She was going to be the backdoor candidate for Cameron if either Jag or Blue won the veto. She wouldn't have gone home, but she was the candidate. She was going to be put up on the block, and she narrowly avoided that. However, just with the overall layout of the house, Izzy's in a great position where it's her, Suri, and Felicia are included in all of these different alliances. All 3 of them are in For Real. They're in the 7 Deadly Sins, and they're in the Legend 25 Alliance. The reality of how real those alliances are is definitely questionable, but all 3, she's included in all of them. And now people are starting to actively trust her more. People who didn't necessarily want to work with her, somebody like a Corey and an America, are now starting to warm up to Izzy to the point where they now want to work with Izzy in the coming weeks, which is honestly really good for her game. Honestly, Izzy and Felicia are both playing very similar games, but they have one main difference with them that separates the two. Felicia is a great social player, and she has great social bonds with everybody. Her only issue is that her great social bonds aren't necessarily the closest with Suri. Whereas with Izzy, Izzy's only social bond is with Suri. But because of how closely tied Izzy is to Suri's game, Izzy is actively being included in those endgame plans, creating a lot of runway for her to go far in this game. My only issue with her is that she's probably going to be the first one taken out of the core 4 of Suri, Izzy, Felicia, and Jared. Izzy's probably going to be the first one taken out of those 4, but as it stands right now, nobody's really targeting her in the near time, and she's actively being included in those endgame plans. So I think her position is very circumstantial. Next week she could be on the bottom if she is targeted, but as it stands right now, I think Izzy's in a very solid position and could go very far, which is why I have her here at number 3. Now at number 2, somebody who I'm really surprised is this high, but I honestly shouldn't be surprised because they are playing a very solid social game right now. So at number 2, I have Matt. And with Matt, he's just a likable guy. A lot of people have said that he gives off somewhat golden retriever vibes, and how he's so he's still hung up on Riley, and people are making memes about how somebody would say good morning Matt, and Matt would be like, you know who else love good mornings? Riley, and stuff like that. And it's funny, but I think it contributes to Matt's perception in this game about how he's just a good dude. He's just a really likable, a really solid guy that everybody wants to be friends with, and that friendliness has evolved into a game relationship. I think the biggest positive for Matt's game is his increasing bonds with Suri, where, as seen in the episode, Suri actively wants to bring Matt to Final 3, possibly Final 4, Final 3, possibly even over the likes of Izzy, the person who knows her secret and has been aligned with her since day 1, and Jared, her own son. Obviously, I don't think she would choose Matt over her own son, but still, Matt is being included in those endgame plans for Final 4 and Final 3. The only question is is Matt ever going to take the shot at Cirie? I think Matt is smart enough to recognize that Cirie is the biggest threat in the house, at least in terms of winning the game. I think Matt recognizes how big of a threat Cirie is. The question is Matt willing to take that shot? Because it seems like if Matt pledges his allegiance to somebody, he is going to stay loyal to them. He is going to stay by their side no matter what. That's what he did with Riley. Now that's what he's doing with Cirie. And he was the one who saved Jag. And that should create a lot of good favor with Jag. I think the only issue is that he's not necessarily using that information to the most potential. I think he can better his position. I think it's just a matter of like tightening up those loose ends and solidifying more bonds with the people he used to be aligned with. People like Jag and Blue, who are coming more and more of assets to his game. I think if Matt can honestly solidify more bonds outside of Cirie's core, Matt might be even keyword might. He might be even in an even better position than Cirie. I think just the only issue is that I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But he has really great positioning right now. He's in such a good position. There's no way anybody takes him out anytime soon unless it's some weird coup d'etat twist or something stupid like that. But I think Matt is going to be here for the long haul, which is why I have him here at number 2. Now at number 1, it's still number 1. Everybody knew she was going to be number 1. It's Cirie. And what am I supposed to say now? Like, I've been saying the same thing week after week after week, and we're now 4 weeks in a row where I've had Cirie at number 1, and I don't think I've seen this display of dominance since Paul on Big Brother 19, where Cirie is just actively running circles around these people. Like, this is preseason, I thought this was going to be a really strong cast strategically, but with Cirie in this house, Cirie is making them look like amateurs, and honestly, they are. It's like if you made LeBron James play like a game of basketball against a bunch of middle schoolers. You know, it's just unfair. Cirie is literally dunking on all of these players like so hard. It's honestly kind of depressing to see how these newbies are just scrambling to try and gain any sort of footing in this game. Because Cirie is just disposing of any sort of other foundations being formed because she's able to just recognize when other people are forming things. That's why she was able to clock that Corey and America are threats, because she knows she's able to recognize how good of players they are and how they're able to recognize her position in the game, which is why now they are targets. They weren't initially targets, but because Cirie wanted to target them, now they are targets. And that is huge for Cirie's game. Cirie has such a core alliance around her where Cameron even clocks that Cirie has this core wrapped around her finger, but they don't even want to target Cirie herself. They would rather target Izzy, somebody who is lower on that totem pole. I think overall, Cirie is probably one of the best social players, like one of the best players' social games we've ever seen in the history of reality television. We saw it play out on Survivor, we saw her win it with the Traitors, and it might even win her Big Brother. It's all just a matter of time of seeing, will anybody be willing to take the shot at her? As it stands right now, nobody seems to be willing or be able to take the shot at Cirie, which is why I have her here at number 1, and still number 1. Overall, this game is slowly becoming more and more of a steamroll, but a steamroll in the most messy and chaotic way. With Jared being HOH, Cirie could basically be the HOH of this week and basically dictate how this week is going to go. It seems like this week is going to be pretty standard in Cameron probably going home, Cameron or Red going home, and that's going to be pretty stagnant in terms of gameplay. But knowing this cast, somehow something's going to flip, and then maybe somehow America goes home or something like that. I don't know. But honestly, Cirie is just dominating this house, and Cirie is probably going to be running this house for the rest of the season until somebody eventually usurps power from her and just takes her out. But as it stands right now, she's dominating this game, and I see her in the long haul just winning. So, it's kind of boring to say that, but that's honestly how I see this game playing out. But that's all I have to say for this video. If you like this video, be sure to comment and like and subscribe and share with your friends if you have any of those. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.